How and where should you spray your fragrances? Let's talk about it. What's going on, guys? My name is Nero. Welcome back to AROMATIX. We're going to be talking about how and where you should apply your fragrances. First thing I want to mention is that there's always going to be a different way or method of spraying your fragrances. All of this is subjective, and a lot of opinions come into play. There isn't one factual way you should spray your fragrance or not. However, this video is going to be more tailored towards how I spray my fragrances, my general rule of thumb, and I've gotten numerous compliments throughout, my entire life wearing fragrances, honestly. There is hardly ever a day where I don't get complimented on my fragrance, and I'm being 100% honest. I have zero reason to fabricate on the fact that I get compliments almost every day. I genuinely do. Now, there is such a thing as too much or even too little. There's definitely both sides of the spectrum. And for the most part, I generally say, team overspray, 15 sprays minimum, etc. However, this is not really 100% the truth in all cases. Now, a lot of times I do say this for fun or for testing purposes, I'll spray on that many, but my general rule of thumb is going to be in a house of sprays of 8 to 10. Even though the average sprays are about 8 to 10, there are cases where it's like plus or minus 2. So it really depends on how well the fragrance performs, etc. However, for me, for the most part, whenever I'm testing a fragrance, I do tend to overspray because I enjoy actually really testing the fragrance and being able to come back and tell you guys, don't spray it more than 6 times, don't spray it less than 4 times, etc. So for that reason, I like to overspray more than I do, underspray a fragrance. That way, at least I can have a review as well as being able to say, don't spray it this much, rather than wearing a fragrance and it disappearing because I only sprayed it 2 times. And there I am wearing a fragrance the next day again, but wearing it more appropriately. There isn't anyone that can tell you how many sprays is right for you except for you. Where you're going and who you're going to be around should kind of help shape or dictate how many sprays you should spray it on. It's not necessarily anybody telling you how to wear your fragrance, but it's you trying to get the best results in the fragrance that you're wearing. If you're wearing something that's not appropriate for the occasion or too many sprays, too little sprays, then it can actually result in no compliments at all, or even worse, the opposite. So the point of these fragrances is to be supplemental and give you a better reaction and enhancement to your overall aura. There are going to be 2 different ways that I spray on my fragrances. One is for dates and one is for everyday and just the normal way. You'll understand why I say one is for dates as soon as we get into the spray routine. So let's go ahead and get started with an average performing fragrance like Prada L'Homme. Actually, this is slightly above average. Nevertheless, we're going to call it average performing. What I like to do is if it's an average day where I'm not going out on a date, I'll spray it 1 on each side of the neck. So on the carotids, you have pulse points and it heats up. And then 1 on each side of the back of the ears. So now we're at about 4. And then what I like to do is also forearm, so we're at 6. And I'll go on the top of the hand and on the top of the other hand. So we're at 8 now. And the reason why I do it on the top of the hands and rather than the wrists of the hands is because although this does have a pulse point, you have a lot of veins also on the top of your hand. Aside from the fact, this rubs off on a lot of your accessories, a lot of your clothing, your car, you're going in, you're shifting gear, you're using the steering wheel. And by the end of like hour 2, it's usually gone for me. On the top of my hand, it's always there unless I wash my hands. And the same case for the wrists. If you're going to be washing your hands, it's going to go as well. But what I like to do is check the time and maybe even sniff my hands. And you can do it very casually and very, unnoticeable. If you're holding somebody else's hand, they're also going to get wafts of that. And it's a great way to really sniff your fragrance, see how long it lasts. Also, with the forearms, as you're walking, you're going to get nice wafts of all of your fragrance everywhere, basically. Sometimes I like to stop here, but if I want to spray it just a little bit more, what I'll end up doing is I'll take it and spray it right under my shirt 1 time. So that way it gets your shirt, but it also gets your skin. And if I want to top it off to the maximum for my average performing fragrances, I'll spray 1 time on the back of the neck. So now we're at about 10 sprays, and I could have stopped at 8. 8 to 10 is the perfect realm for an average performing fragrance. I've always gotten compliments this way. It's never gotten me anything but positive vibes, and it lasts a hell of a long time that way. 8 to 10 sprays is the minimum for me with my average performing fragrances. Now let's say that I bought something a little bit less than average performing, although this one is really not that bad, and this is a Zaro Chrome Extreme, an aquatic fresh blue fragrance. This, I would deem it under average performance, and what I like to do with this one is I'll go +2. So we have that 8 to 10 range, and I'll do +2 on the higher end. So we're at about 12 sprays. So the way that I would spray this on is going to be 1 behind the neck, that's 2. On the neck, that's 4, and then each forearm, we're at 6. We're going to go 7, 8. I'm also going to spray it under the shirt. That's 9. And I'm going to do the back of the neck. That's 10. And then the last 2, I'll actually spray it on the top of my chest. So 1 on each side, 11 and 12. And there you have it. For weaker performing fragrances, it's going to be about 12. Now for beast mode performing fragrances, and we're going to come back to the whole date night situation as soon as we're done. Let's talk about a beastly performing fragrance, something like Nero by Sidra. With something like this, you absolutely can gas them out. Scent profile comes into play, the projection, longevity, all of that comes into play. With something like this, you don't want to spray this more than 5 to 6 times max. And maybe even if you're one that's like, lighthearted, or if you have a reserved personality, because that plays a huge role. Your personality does dictate how much fragrance you should have. If you go up to somebody who's silent, usually their personality and they're soft-spoken and they're not really, just exuding this confident aura or loud and playful, it's going to be a little bit off-putting and a little bit unusual to smell them walk in with a loud fragrance. So how many sprays really plays into who you are as well. If you're this super loud and just vibrant personality, having more sprays of fragrance is going to help you. If you're this quiet person wearing 12 sprays of something that even average performance, it might not actually suit you and you might be better off going with 8 sprays. So personality plays like 80% of the role of how many sprays you should put on. This, however, is a good general rule of thumb for me and what I've found over the years of coming out of my shell and even being this personality that was relatively quiet. This is a general rule of thumb that I always went through. So yes, personality does differ. Somebody's 10 sprays is like somebody's 2 sprays. A more reserved personality, their 2 sprays is going to smell like the more vibrant person's 10 sprays. So there isn't one way or another. So we really shouldn't tell each other how much to spray, but rather give safe ranges that each of us like to stay in. So with something like Nero, what I would personally do is go 1 spray behind each side of the neck. I would do 1 spray under my shirt or whatever I'm wearing so it can get my clothing and on top of my chest. So in the case that I do have to take off my shirt, since this is a sexy ass fragrance, and do the business, I've still got the fragrance on my chest. She lays her head on my chest. Yeah. Lastly, I like to spray it on the top of my hands. 4, and if you want to stop at 4, you could always stop at 4, but for me personally, I like it on both of the tops of my hands, and that's 5. And I would personally rather do it on the top of my hands than my forearm because I do like to sniff it on my skin as well. But you could easily play around with this. The only other spot that I would do personally instead of the top of the other hand is on top of the forearm. So I might do on the top of my left hand since I'm always sniffing my left hand, and then on my right forearm. Or you could just keep it onto both of the hands. Now, the one thing that you don't want to do when you're going on dates, this is specifically for dates, and it applies for all of these fragrances. Doesn't matter, underperforming, overperforming, average performing. You never want to spray it on your neck. She goes in for a kiss or she wants to, give you a hickey or whatever it is that she's trying to do on your suck blood. You don't want her to get a mouthful of fragrance. It doesn't taste good. But instead, what you want to do is spray it on the tops of your shoulders instead. So like with my average and under average performing fragrances, instead of spraying it on your pulse points on your neck, you can spray it on the tops of your shoulders. Yes, pulse points do make a little bit of a difference. However, on clothing, the fragrance lasts longer, okay? So on clothing, fragrances always last longer than on skin. It is what it is. You absolutely want to get some on clothing, and that's why I love to spray it underneath the shirt as well. So that's pretty much what I do. So it's about 8 to 10 sprays for average performing fragrances. If it's a weaker fragrance, plus 2 on that 10 mark. So it's 12 sprays for lesser performing fragrances. At least 10 sprays for under average performing fragrances for me personally. And with beastly performing fragrances, a minimum of 4 to 5 and occasionally 6, depending on where I'm going and how beastly it is, because beast mode can really vary. These 2 fragrances, although both of them can be considered beast mode, something like this would project harder than something like this. This one I might spray an extra time, so 6 sprays, but I wouldn't ever go more than 6 sprays with beast mode performing fragrances. And if I had to spray it an extra time, I would continue on with my preferred places, and the preferred places are going to be backs of the necks, the fronts of the necks, the forearms, the tops of the hands, underneath the shirt, and if I'm not spraying on the neck, it's going to be the tops of the shoulders. So there are all the spray points which I stick to, and that's where it's going to be mostly for the most part. If you're ever tempted to spray it on Peter, just don't do it. It burns. Just trust me. Don't do it. Don't even try it. So that's my rule of thumb. That's the average spray range that I like to stick to. Average, above average, and underperforming fragrances. Date nights versus regular basis. Play around with these numbers. There's not one that's set in stone. However, it does apply for the most part. And this is a routine, the daily routine that I go for that has gotten me years of unsolicited compliments. Believe it or not, I've only gotten very limited. I mean, I can count on one hand how many times I've gotten bad comments as far as like how I smell or anything like that. There have been times where people are allergic or have some, disease process or asthma or things of that nature. And we do have to be respectful to those people, considering where we go, obviously. If you work at a hospital, if you're going to a hospital, you should be considerate. However, if you're just going about your daily lifestyle. You don't really know who has asthma and who doesn't. And those are the occasions where you're just going about your day where you should stick to some kind of routine. This is my routine. Feel free to use it. Don't underspray, but also don't overspray. Both are not good sides of the spectrum to be on. You spend your hard-earned money, you want to be noticed, you want to be complimented, you want your fragrance to smell, because otherwise if nobody can smell you, what's the point, really? How and where you should spray your fragrance. Let me know down in the comments your normal spraying routine. Make sure to leave a like, hit that subscribe button, and until the next video, peace.